On this episode of the AM/PM podcast, we are talking about how you can manage 300 Amazon PPC campaigns in just 30 minutes, how to set up customized bid rules, and how you can utilize AI to help you manage your campaigns. This and more on today's episode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AM/PM podcast. My name is Bradley Sutton.
My name is Carrie Miller.
And this is the show where we discuss all things Amazon, TikTok Shop, and Walmart private label,
and how to generate recurring revenue streams 24 hours a day
during the AM and the PM, hence the name of the show.
Get it? AM/PM podcast. And as a matter of fact, tomorrow I leave for Kevin King's Ecom Mastery AI in Nashville. And even though I will be networking and learning all about AI at that conference, I will still be making money online. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our workshop. What are we here to learn today? We are here to learn about advertising, and not from like a software salesman point of view. I have multiple Amazon accounts that I run. I manage over 300 campaigns, and I'm basically going to let you know how I run it. And I'm going to invite Carrie on here in a couple seconds. And Carrie also is an Amazon seller, and she also has hundreds of campaigns that she manages. And so we're just going to be talking about strategy of what to do off of Amazon advertising first. Like, how do you know you're, doing the right keywords? How do you manage budget during days like Prime Day? We're going to talk about that. When to use automation, when to use AI. And then for those of you who have Helium 10 ads, I'm just going to completely, kind of like open how I run my Helium 10 ads, so that you guys can maybe copy some of what I do if you like my style here. All right. So let me go ahead and bring on my co-host here. All right, Carrie, welcome to the stage. How's it going, Carrie?
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, it's going great today. So I'm excited to show everyone, things I've learned about PPC and just advertising in general.
Carrie, before we get started, until like maybe 6 months ago or something, how were you managing your advertising?
Through an agency.
So basically you weren't managing your own advertising. You were just kind of like outsourcing it.
No.
And then now how long has it been? 6 months since you kind of took it over yourself? Okay.
Yeah.
So you are newer to managing your own advertising, but you're not new to Amazon advertising because you've had these accounts for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Almost now. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So something that's important that people forget about. They think we should just be able to hop right into advertising from day one, turn on auto campaigns, let's go. But actually, there are some steps you need to take even before starting your first campaign, or if you're launching a new product before you do that. And that's like on the keyword research. So what's your process, Carrie? If you can share your screen and walk us through, how do you even choose the right keywords to target in advertising?
So I think this is something that a lot of people probably get when they first start with an agency. They're like, oh, we're just going to run auto campaigns and harvest keywords, I guess. But that's a very expensive way to do it. And that's why it is important to do what I'm about to show you, is just kind of do your own keyword research and look for the keywords that are going to be the most relevant, but also the most realistic for you to rank for and do well on. So I actually just looked up electric kettles. So say we're selling an electric kettle. I just bought one. So I thought, hey, let's do electric kettles. And what I usually do is first I go to X-ray on the main keyword. So electric kettle is the main keyword. And I pull X-ray and I look for products that are selling the best. And I like to choose quite a few of these products and then put them into Cerebro. And a fast way to do this is you can literally just kind of check these off based on the sales. You don't have to copy and paste. Like we used to have it where you would copy and paste, but you can basically just check all the ones you want to take a look at and then hit run Cerebro. Now, what we're going to do on Cerebro is a reverse ASIN search. Okay. And this is basically where we see all of the keywords that product is ranking for in the organic and the sponsored product spot. And so this is a really good way to kind of, not necessarily steal keywords, but kind of spy on your competition, see what keywords they're targeting in their ads and where they're ranking organically. So I actually already kind of ran this just for time's sake. And so we've got our electric kettles in here. And what you're going to want to look for, so this is all basically comparing to this first ASIN here. And we won't get too much into the details here, but basically this is going to show all of the keywords that these products are ranking for in the organic and sponsored. And there's ways that you can filter through. And obviously we don't have enough time to go through, but we have these little one-click filters, and I like to kind of click on those sometimes just to see if they're, what the opportunity keywords are, and just to find some good maybe search volume. But there's a way to kind of validate whether or not that keyword is going to be too expensive, because sometimes, you're like, okay, yeah, I want to advertise on electric kettle, but there's a lot of people advertising on electric kettle. And so if I go back here, I'm going to show you, see electric kettle. If we look over, and this is the way we kind of can see it, is we look at the reviews. We can see quite a few reviews here. Now there is some, opportunity, I guess, potentially, but for the most part, the main players here are like 47,000, 11,000, 25,000. This is very competitive in terms of a keyword. So you want to find, some keywords where especially when you're starting out and you don't have any reviews and you haven't established anything, you want to find some keywords where, the top 10, there are not thousands and thousands of reviews in those top 10 listings. So I want to see if I can find one. So let's see here. Let's look for an electric. You can actually sort through here too. And I can just say, hey, electric. We'll just see if something has electric in it. And so we can see gooseneck electric kettle. This is a kind of a lower search volume, but we'll just take a look at that on Amazon. And this, if we pull the extension here, and this is X-ray, you're going to be able to see how many basically reviews are in the top 10. So now you don't necessarily always have to, do, low search volume keyword, but what you want to do is always validate how competitive it is. Because sometimes even a low search volume keyword, like maybe there's only 1,500, I'm actually in a very competitive niche. Some of those keywords everybody's fighting for, and there's other keywords that are more long tail that you can kind of focus on. Like for example, electric kettle for travel or something like that. Maybe that would be a keyword that, would fit your product, and that would be good to go on and maybe is less competitive. So if we look at this one, in the top reviews, if you can see that there's a lot less reviews here. So we've got only 28 reviews, 27. That's going to be a good way to see, that this is potentially a keyword that I could rank for. So what I'm saying is you don't want to go for those high search volume, high competitive keywords right away, because then you're going to spend a ton of money and you're not going to rank, because you're competing with these sellers that have been established there and already have their ranking in all these thousands and thousands of reviews on there. So you want to kind of start from the base and then work your way up. So for example, electric kettle, you want to eventually rank for that. Well, electric kettle for kitchen, maybe that's a keyword, okay? Electric kettle for hotel room. Maybe those are different keywords. As you maybe target those longer keywords, you're going to still start ranking for electric kettle. So that is kind of the strategy, is to go for these less expensive keywords that are longer tail, and then move your way up. So that is one thing to take a look at. Now, the next thing is Prime Day is actually coming up. So this is one of my favorite strategies to find keywords that maybe your competitor was targeting last year and that you want to capitalize on now. So for example, this is a product I always see that does pretty well on Prime Day. It's a Tyneco wet dry mop. And so what I did was I did a search of this particular product, and then we're going to click on historical trend, okay? And this is going to give you up to 24 months of keyword data. And last year, Prime Day was actually in July. So I'm going to click on July, just that 1 month only, and I'm going to hit apply filters. And then what I like to do is I like to filter for phrases containing prime, okay? And I just hit apply filters. And now I'm going to see keywords that are Prime Day focused and where this particular product was ranking. So this one, it looks like they were, targeting this one, and they were sponsored rank 24, 9. You can see where they were kind of targeting their advertising, and you can also see where they were organically ranked. Now, this particular product looks like they're not necessarily capitalizing on a lot of these. It looks like Prime Day vacuum deals, they got sponsored rank number 9, so they were advertising on that. But you can find some really high search volume keywords, and you can see where this top competitor was and what they were doing. And just, maybe you can find some more keywords where they're ranking, very well. You can sort by organic ranks. So they're looks like Prime Day steam mop, they were in spot 21. So maybe, you can try to beat them in some of these particular keywords that are really high search volume and would be great for Prime Day. So that is a great strategy for just looking back in time and finding those keywords for kind of events and deals. And then one other strategy, and I don't think a lot of people have seen this yet, but in Black Box, which is our product research tool, we have a section called Find Out of Stock Products. And this is really, really cool because Bradley actually got the idea about this because we had this coffin shelf makeup. It was like a makeup coffin shelf that was competing against our coffin shelf. And they were just killing it all the time. They were selling so many every single month. And we were like, goodness, what are they doing? But then all of a sudden they literally just dropped off. So when they drop off, it's hard for you to actually find the ASIN on Amazon and figure out what was going on there. So we have this tool now that you can literally go back in time and find, whatever products that have gone out of stock. And here's just an example strategy on how to do this. You can go back and say, I want to find a product that has, tons of sales, or maybe you're just looking for a new product to sell. You can put in the number of sales. Okay. So this is the parent level sales. Maybe I'll just put in like 1,000. This is for the entire year. Okay. And then, what you can do is you can hit like an active date. And I like to just go back the past calendar year. So I'm just going to go back the past calendar year. And I'm going to hit January 1st, and I'm going to go all the way to December 31st. You can actually put in specific keywords in here that you want. You can choose categories and anything that you want, but I'm just going to hit search and show you that there's a ton of products that were doing pretty well and they were selling pretty well, but they're literally out of stock here. So this is a great product research method, but also a way, if you had a specific product in mind that went out of stock, you can find them this way. You can find that ASIN, you can do that historical search still on them. Like I just showed you for the Prime Day type keywords, or, if it's a seasonal product, you can go back in time and see what seasonal products were doing best and see the keywords that they were focused on for the organic and sponsor rank. So if you haven't checked this out, this is an incredible tool to, find those products that are no longer listed on Amazon, but you can still do keyword research on them and still figure out what their strategy was.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for that, Carrie. So as you can see, we haven't even started talking about actual advertising yet, but there's a lot of prep work you need to do beforehand. Now, Carrie was talking about, what if you have like a new product? How do you find keywords? Well, what's another off advertising way to find keywords for mature products? Once you're advertising, of course, the main way you're going to really see what keywords are working well for you is looking at your own advertising, right? But what's a way that you're just like, hey, I've never really took a look at my advertising. I have been advertising. I can see what's going well in ads, but what are some other keywords that maybe I have a right to win on or I need to focus on, all right? And that is through a search query performance, all right? Anybody here, let me know in the comments, who uses search query performance data from Amazon? You go to the brand analytics and go to search query performance in your Seller Central. Who has been using those and downloading those reports? All right. So if you're launching a brand new product, obviously it doesn't have thousands of reviews, whether you're a leading brand or not. And small players could have 1,000 reviews if you've been selling a product for 3 or 4 years. Okay. So a lot of people are using search query performance. Excellent. Good. Actually, not a lot, only like 30 people said out of the hundreds that are on here said yes. I hope the rest of you just are too shy to answer and that you guys are using it. But as you guys know, it's like really hard to download multiple reports and then combine things. But let me just show you a quick way where you can isolate, hey, what keywords should I be focusing on my mature products? So Carrie was talking about brand new products. What about mature products? In Search Query Analyzer, which is in Helium 10, you can go to multiple date ranges. So what you guys do, everybody's got the Diamond account. You guys have access to this. If you guys don't have Helium 10, guess what? You just download this from Seller Central. This is not special data that Helium 10 has. The special part of this is that I'm about to show you how it takes 30 seconds to do this. It'll take you 1 hour to do this in Seller Central. But download up to 12 months of data in Seller Central if you don't have Helium 10. If you have Helium 10, just hit month of and select every single thing. Select one of your products. I selected this cursive handwriting book in one of the accounts that I manage. And the next thing is right here, you have the list of all the keywords that are related to your product per search query performance. So the first thing I like to do is I want to see, hey, what are all the keywords that I have actually sold for? So I can just say my purchases, at least one, okay? And then now I can see, hey, these are keywords that even Amazon is saying, not Helium 10, but Amazon is saying has driven sales. Look at this one keyword has driven 200 sales. And actually, the numbers you see in search query performance, you can almost multiply this by like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 to get like the total. This is only showing purchases that happen within like a 24-hour window and where they're not clicking around and browsing. Like if they have to click something in the search, they add it to the cart and they buy it right away. That's what shows up on this report. So who knows, there's probably a lot more purchases that are happening. That's why I say this 200 number probably is more like 600 or even 800 potentially. But it's a good apples to apples comparison. So right away, if you have a mature product and you've been doing sales, look at this report. What have you been getting sales for? But the other advantage of Search Career Performance is you can see the market conversion rate versus yours. So then you know what you're doing better. And how does this affect advertising? This should be like what you want to double down on in your advertising, right? Why? Because if your conversion rate is better than everybody else for a certain keyword, what's going to happen the more conversions you get? Your organic rank is going to increase. And that's one of the reasons why we do sponsored ads, right? Is we're trying to get our organic rank to increase so that, we don't always have to pay to play, right? So for example, here's a keyword here where it's grooved cursive handwriting workbook. So as you can see, we have a better conversion rate variance than the market. Mine is 10.86. Market is 8.40. This is a Helium 10 calculation. Obviously, if you don't have Helium 10, you just have to make a formula to calculate this out. But now I know, hey, you know what? This is a good keyword to focus on because I'm converting better than the market. But here's another keyword where, hey, it's still bringing me sales. So it's not like I want to ignore this keyword. But do I need to break the bank on it? Not necessarily, because actually my conversion rate's much worse, right? So this is a good way to look at data to kind of like decide if you're thinking like, I don't know if I want to keep going hard on this keyword in advertising, or I want to take my foot off the gas because it's not very profitable. This is a way you can look at it. One quick thing you can do if you guys have Helium 10, just say, hey, where are my outperforming converters? And then instantly it is going to show all of the keywords that brought you sales plus the ones where your conversion rate is better. So now we've got a list of 217 keywords that now I take this and I'm going to go back to my advertising, right? My ads or my PPC, if I'm doing it in Seller Central, and start looking for what I'm doing on these keywords, right? Because then you look over here. Now we bring in some Helium 10 data, and I'm looking here. You guys might be wondering, how in the world could I have 30,000 impressions but only 18,000 searches? Well, this is not Helium 10 search volume, which is an estimation. This is actual Amazon data. It's because, guess what, guys? Look at this. My organic rank is always on the top of page 1. And look, my sponsored rank is at the very top. So most of the time that somebody searches this keyword, I'm showing up twice. I've got a lot of top shelf real estate, all right? But here is something. Look at this. Let's take a look at one of these other keywords here. Grooved cursive handwriting book. You know what? My sponsored is not always on the top. So I might be leaving some money on the table there. Look at this one. Reusable cursive handwriting book. I'm not at the top on advertising. So this is how you can kind of combine Amazon data with Helium 10 data to kind of decide what should I be doing with my advertising and my budgets and my bids, etc. Okay. So Search Career Performance, guys, really, really, really good to work on. What about campaign structure? I want to show you guys some campaign structure here of how I start or I do my mature listings. All right, let's take a look here. Here is one of my products that I just recently started campaigns on. And so as you can see here, I always start with basically 5 and sometimes 7 or even 8. All right. So what we have here is I always start with what I call a performance campaign. This is a campaign that is my exact match. So like when I first start, I'm using what Carrie was talking about, like trying to find the keywords in Cerebro. And I'm putting those, the ones I have a right to win on from day one, into this performance campaign. At the same time, I start a research campaign. And usually for me, it's broad match. All right. Some people do phrase match. I like doing broad. It's not like one way is better than the other. It's just kind of to each their own, right? So this, I'm like having a lot of like the core base keywords that I found in my keyword research. Like if I'm selling coffin shelves and I've got, coffin shelf, coffin decor, etc. Like I might have a broad match for coffin or something like that, right? The other thing I like to do is an auto campaign. All right. So in auto campaigns, remember, and broad campaigns, Amazon can show you for stuff that you're not even indexed for, or you're not even searchable, or you never even knew could be relevant. And so this is a great way to discover new keywords. All right. The other things that I have going on here are a sponsored display campaign for product targeting. All right. And a sponsored product for product targeting, but I do have that one in here. Sponsored product for product targeting. So these are both ASIN targeting campaigns. Now, for me, I said sometimes I actually might have 7 campaigns. Which ones are those? This one doesn't have any videos. This is not my account. I just run it. They're helping me, allowing me to run their advertising for a case study. But if I were them, I'm actually going to have them do this. I like doing video campaigns too. All right. Sometimes video campaigns are really great for branding, and sometimes they're even better cost per click than your keyword campaigns. Not always. But there's 2 types of video campaigns that I like doing. I like doing the ASIN targeting video campaigns, but I also do the keyword targeting video campaigns that show up kind of like in the middle of the page. And then the 8th campaign that sometimes I have, if I have multiple products, I'm running sponsored brand headline ads. All right. So that's usually my campaign setup to start. Now, it definitely, changes over time where I add more campaigns depending on what I'm trying to do. And then if these fill up, then I'm going to, duplicate some of these campaigns where I only want to have like 20 targets in one. And then once I hit 20, well, what do I do with this performance campaign? I keep that one going, but now I start a new performance campaign. And I'll talk about that in a little bit for keyword harvesting. But these are kind of like my rules. Now, what is keyword harvesting? Keyword harvesting means, like, let's say my auto campaign finds a keyword and that I convert for it that I wasn't targeting in my performance campaign. What if my auto campaign finds an ASIN? They can show you for ASINs that I wasn't targeting in my sponsored display or my sponsored product. Well, I want to harvest those keywords. Now, whether you guys have rules or not, or whether you guys have software or not, you guys need to be doing this. If you don't have Helium 10, it doesn't mean, I don't need to harvest keywords. You absolutely do. How do you do that? You got to run your search term reports, see what you converted on at whatever ACoS or whatever, kind of standard you're setting. And then now you got to go put those keywords into the other campaign so you can target it 24 hours a day. If it's converting for you an auto campaign, that doesn't mean Amazon's going to show you 24 hours a day. It's like whenever Amazon feels like it. You don't want to wait for Amazon to do it. So that's why you put keywords or ASINs that are working well for you in some campaigns. You want to put it into your performance campaign or your manual campaign, right? So I don't want to have to do that and run reports. So since I have Helium 10 ads, I set up this rule right here, as you can see here, where I say, hey, if I get 2 orders in one of these campaigns, my auto or my broad, and my ACoS is less than 100%, there's no magic number here, guys. I just put 100% here for me. Some people want to be really strict and they only want to harvest keywords that are at 30%. Pick your own number. Then, and my look back period, 60 days, then create a new target with the cost per click. So what does this mean with all these check marks? Basically, let's say by me having this checked here, I find a keyword, I get 2 conversions any time in the last 60 days, and it's under 100% ACoS. The fact that I have this broad checked and this exact checked, that means it's going to take that keyword and put it in each of these campaigns so I can test that keyword further. Why do I want to put it into a broad match? Well, who knows? Maybe I convert for coffin shelf, but what if there's another keyword like coffin shelf for men, coffin shelf for women? Long tail versions of that keyword can convert for me. So I want to test it out, at least just try it in this broad campaign. And of course I want to test it out the exact match campaign, right? So this is how I do that. You see how I have this check? This means ASIN. It's like a picture of a product right here, right? So do you see, if I find something in the auto campaign, what this means is I want Helium 10 to tell me to put this into my sponsored display campaign, into my sponsored product campaign. All right. So because those are ASIN targeting campaigns. If I had the video ASIN targeting, it would actually put it there. So I don't have to worry about every week going into my search term reports and trying to find it and then trying to find which campaigns to put it in. This is going to tell me to do it. And I just click a button. I'll show you that later on how to do it. But even if you don't use Helium 10, guys, this is a strategy that goes for every single person in this room. This is how you should be managing it. I like setting this daily. You guys can like maybe, hey, you know what? I only want to check every 3 days. I want to check once a week. I set it daily. And I don't do automation. That's just me. I know Carrie used to do automation. I don't know if she took my advice and stopped the automation, because I like to decide yes or no, do I want to put these in those campaigns or not? All right. So this is my structure on how I structure all my campaigns and then how I harvest keywords. See, these campaigns are now talking to each other. My auto and my broad are empowering my sponsor display campaign and vice versa. All right. So by the way, this button here, guys, anybody who does have Helium 10, I strongly suggest turning this on. This is such a cool feature. Helium 10 is the only feature. As I said, you guys later might have 20 targets in one campaign. You shouldn't just keep putting targets there. You got to stop and make a new campaign. Well, you don't want to put the same target that's in your first performance campaign in the second one. That's pointless to be having the same target in multiple campaigns for the same product. Don't do that, guys. You need to make sure that whatever you're taking from auto to your manual campaigns, that it doesn't already exist. And that's literally what this button does. Once again, I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it a million times. Doesn't matter that if you have Helium 10 ads or not, take this advice. This advice applies to all of you. Don't duplicate your targets of the same match type. In other words, don't have it in 7 campaigns, an exact target for coffin shelf. You only need it in 1, right? All right. Otherwise, you're wasting the way that Amazon advertising works. All right. So that's the way I structure my campaigns. Now, I also have something called negative rules. All right. So negative rules, I only have negative rules on in my auto and broad campaign. So real quick, guys, this is something that I think is important for everybody, in my opinion, regardless if you have Helium 10 or not, is I do not negative match in my exact match campaigns. Negative match means you add it as a negative, right? In other words, if I have an auto campaign, you guys know this, right? You have like 30, 40 clicks on a keyword and you get 0 sales. Most people are like, you know what? I'm probably not going to get a sale for this keyword if I got 40 clicks and nobody is buying it. So I don't want to keep wasting my money on all these clicks. So what they do is they add it as a negative match. I hope you guys do that with your advertising, right? Otherwise, Amazon's gladly going to keep taking hundreds of your clicks for money, right? Not always, but I'm not trying to say Amazon's greedy, but some people might say that. But anyways, you want to stop the bleed. You want to say, no, Amazon, stop wasting my money. Don't show me for this keyword in this campaign anymore. So here's the thing. My advice to all of you guys is do that on your broad and your auto campaigns, because on an exact campaign, I like to pause the target. I'll show you guys how to do that later, but I pause the target there, right? Why? Because remember what I just said? You should cap your campaigns based on your budget. Now, if you've got a campaign with $1,000 daily budget, sure, put 100 targets in there if you want, right? But if you guys have these like budgets of like $20 daily or $50 daily, Amazon usually is going to focus its spend on 5, 10, 15, max 20 keywords. And if you start adding 50, 60 targets to a campaign with only like a $40 budget, most of those keywords aren't even going to get impressions, right? So that's why you have new campaigns. But here's the thing. When you're looking at your campaigns, if you have negative matched a whole bunch of keywords, you don't even know how many real targets you have active. All of your targets are going to stay active, right? But really, it's not active because you negative matched it in the back end. So for me, I only negative match in the auto, broad, or phrase campaigns. And then if I have something where a target is not doing good, too many clicks, I pause that target. Then I hop into the campaign. I can easily see how many active campaigns do I have in there. All right. I hope that makes sense. So anyways, how do I set a negative match rule in Helium 10 ads for my auto and broad campaigns? This is how I do it. Let me just go into my rules here. Negative targeting. So here's one, my broad campaign for this Code Breakers account. This is super simple. I'm looking in my auto campaign and my broad campaign for this one product, And for the auto campaign, I'm saying be looking to do a negative exact keyword or a negative ASIN. All right. You can do negative ASINs for auto campaigns. And then broad, I'm like negative exact. All right. And so basically I'm like, you know what? If sales are 0 and clicks are greater than or equal to 30, there's no magic number here, guys. I've heard of people, I just interviewed somebody in the podcast who put 7. They like to negative match after 7. To me, that's too few. Oh my God. Like I still could get sales on like the 10th click or something, but that's what she wants to do. Go ahead. For me, on some campaigns, I have 30. On some campaigns, I have like 20, right? And then I look back at 60 days. So basically what this is saying is, hey, find any keywords that have 0 sales, but 30 clicks, and then tell me to negative match it. And then I decide, do I want to do this? Yes or no. Carrie, I want you to talk to everybody about bid templates briefly, about how, I think you actually use some bid templates. I don't use bid templates. I have my own rules, and I'll show people how to do that. But talk about bid templates. And then I'd like you to also, if you can, tell people about Dayparting and how to audit the account. So 3 things back to back to back. Bid templates, how to do Dayparting, and also how to kind of like audit your account to get some good and bad spenders.
And bid rules and everything was kind of the most difficult thing for me. And that's why we have templates for you so that you can start using these bid optimizations that are already created by people who have done this before. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just act like I'm setting up a new campaign just to show you where these templates are. And then I'm going to go to single campaign here, and then I'm going to do manual and then hit next. And then this is where the actual bid templates are. Okay. So the first one here is max impressions. So this is when you're launching a product and you want to get a lot of impressions for that product. Then you would just click on this and it'll automatically do this for you. Okay. The one that I actually started with was the target ACoS. And this is basically saying, hey, I want, to make sure I don't go over this certain ACoS. I want to set the ACoS as a target. And Bradley actually has some custom rules that are built around ACoS that are bit better. So when you're starting out, you can use this, but then I would recommend going into his strategy a little bit more. And then max orders. So say you had to liquidate a product and you just wanted to clear it out. This is going to help you to get the maximum amount of orders. So it's going to help adjust your bids to really just clear your inventory out. And then right here is the custom rules, and Bradley's going to show you that in a little bit. But again, if you feel uncomfortable and you're like, I don't understand the custom bid rules, these are 3 that you could start with. I recommend the target ACoS. That's probably the best one to do. And that's where I would start with that. Okay. Next is rules and automation under Dayparting. Okay. So Dayparting is a really cool thing because sometimes people are on their phone late at night and they're scrolling through Amazon and they're like, oh, I kind of like this product. Or they're just kind of browsing and then, clicking on your ads. And maybe there's a specific time during the day where your ads are getting a ton of clicks and no sales. You might want to lower the bids or, maybe pause your campaigns during that specific time frame. Okay. So if we look at this, we have all the kind of attribution, and you can change, look at the certain time period that you want to. But what I have it set to is spend versus ACoS. Okay. So you can actually choose to look at this graph in a bunch of different ways. But I'm looking at spend versus ACoS. Okay. So, but you can also do sales versus ACoS. Okay. So sales versus ACoS is another one that's really good. This is like how many sales you got versus, your actual ACoS. So if we look at, this, we've got, an ACoS that's, pretty high, and you only have about $18 in sales. So that might be a time, it looks like 3 a.m., that maybe this time frame isn't really the best time to be kind of advertising. So this is a time where I probably want to, decrease my bids quite a bit, or also you can actually pause the campaigns. And the way that you do this is you can hit create a rule right here. You can, name the actual rule that you want to create, and just so that you remember, maybe it's a certain product or whatever it is. Then you'll just add the campaigns that you want to add to this rule. And then you'll go down here and you'll check the days that you want to, you can check all of them, or you can check certain days. Maybe it's like okay, I noticed Mondays, this spike. Maybe you can just, choose Monday then, or you can choose all of them. I usually just choose all of them, especially if you see like the trend at a certain time. So you can select 3 a.m. here and then to 4 a.m. So that's kind of the hour-long time frame where it's that spike. So people are just up. Maybe a lot of people wake up at 3 a.m. I don't know if many of you do, but that kind of makes sense to me because people say they wake up at 3 a.m. And so then you could say, hey, decrease bid, or you could say pause the campaign. So if you want to decrease the bid, you can decrease it by like, let's say 50%, and then you can put in a minimum bid if you want to right there. Some people just like to pause the campaign during that time just to, so that there's just no spend during that time. People are not randomly clicking on your ads and not purchasing. So this is a really helpful tool because we have the attribution here. So we can see that literally during that, time frame, there's a bunch of clicks and no sales. So it's not like people are, purchasing this product later because we have the data in here to show that kind of like lag time as well. So that's why this tool is extremely helpful for Dayparting. Another thing is that Bradley just mentioned he wanted me to show you is kind of how to audit your account. And this was really important for me. I did this with Destiny in our series Outsource to Optimize. This is where we noticed that we had actually a really great campaign, like two campaigns actually that were doing very, very well, that the agency I was working with just completely shut off. And it really did actually have a huge impact on our sales because those particular campaigns were doing very, very well. But in this ads manager right here, there's a few different things you can do to audit your account pretty quickly, okay? So the first thing is you can look at, say, hey, I got like, a lot of clicks. I'm going to say a minimum of 20 clicks and then orders. I'm going to say like I got 0 orders. I want to see the campaigns where that's happening. So you can kind of basically go in and see where these campaigns are getting, a ton of clicks and no orders. And you can, decide to pause those campaigns or, edit some of the keywords in there or pause some of the keywords. But this is really an important thing for, just making sure that you are not completely, wasting a ton of money. Now you can go even more into, the actual campaign and look at that more detailed. But that's a great way to do this. And then another thing you could do is you could look at, the ACoS. Okay. You can say, hey, I wanted a maximum, say you wanted a low ACoS. Okay. But some of your campaigns are maybe going out of control with their ACoS. I want to just say, hey, I want to see the campaigns where the ACoS is like 45%. You can take a look at those campaigns and you can go into more granular detail and figure out, okay, these campaigns the ACoS is kind of like out of control, okay? Or and on the flip side, maybe the ACoS of these campaigns is too low. Like maybe it's like 5%. If you have a low ACoS, that means you're probably leaving some money on the table. So usually, if you have a low ACoS, and there's some that are low ACoS here, actually maximum. I'm going to do maximum 5. So let's do 5% max ACoS. If you have a really, really low, I guess some of them aren't. So maybe let's go to 10 and see. Yeah, we've got some that are 10%. So maybe if it's that low, you want to increase it a little bit because you're probably, you could capture more sales and still be profitable within the ACoS budgets that you have. So that's kind of a good way. You can basically filter through at the campaign level as well. And you can filter through and see different keywords that are doing well as well. So this is really helpful, I think, for just finding those campaigns that, really are overspending or the ACoS is out of control. You can find them very, very quickly. It's super easy to sort through this.
What we're talking about now is we have Prime Day sometime. We have, Black Friday weekend. We've got, big spring deals days. Sometimes there's big shopping events where your budget is going to run out early. And, do you want to go in and like change your budget one by one? No. Like, so if you guys don't have Helium 10 ads, that's what you need to do. I'm just telling you right now, this is not a Helium 10 strategy. This is an advertising strategy. Increase your budget, guys, on these big shopping days, or else you're going to run out. But for those of you who have Helium 10 ads, watch how Carrie can do it like in seconds.
Yeah.
You just,
all right. So this is on your ad manager screen. So ad manager right here. And then what you'll do is you'll just click on these, whatever campaigns you want. And then you can hit adjust budget and you can say, increase, set budget to % increase. So especially on those specific days that you want to just do this, then you can say, hey, I want to increase the budget by 25%, and you can hit apply, and it'll apply to all of your campaigns, so you can quickly adjust those budgets for that day to make sure that you don't run out of budget. And that's a really important strategy to make sure that you're not running out of budget.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, Carrie. All right. Tell me, guys, has everybody learned something, at least so far today? Learned some cool strategies? Let me know. We're not done yet. There's still some cool stuff. One of the most important aspects of managing your advertising is your bids. That's how you manage spend. All right. Of course, your budget has to play a role in that, but how you manage your profitability is by managing your bids. Okay. So I'm just going to talk about a simple way to do it, which is managing by ACoS. Is this the way that everybody should be managing their Amazon accounts? Is 100% off of ACoS? No, not even me. I don't do 100% off of ACoS. Like, I have different campaigns that are for different reasons. Like, I have campaigns that are for branding. I'm just trying to get exposure. I'm really going for max impressions. I've got campaigns where I'm just like, you know what? I need to own this real estate on this keyword at the top of search, regardless of how much it is. When we're launching, we have different goals. But at the end of the day, a lot of us want to keep a close tab on our ACoS. And so how you do that, if you don't have software, what do you do? How should you do it? You should be downloading your search term reports from Amazon, right? And then you combine them all together with a pivot table or something. And you need to be doing formulas where you're like, hey, if my ACoS is like above X, 60% or something, then take my bid and reduce it so that it would bring my ACoS to 40% or something like that. That's what you just have to do. And then once you run all your formulas, now you got to go back one by one and actually change those bids in Amazon to whatever your formula had done. All right. So if you guys have no software, I hope you guys are doing that and not just blindly, letting your advertising run wild regardless of what ACoS. That's not a good thing for if you are trying to be profitable. Now, if you only have 3 campaigns and 1 product, this is a very doable thing. Maybe you don't even have to download your search term reports. Maybe you're just doing it directly from Seller Central. But if you're like me or Carrie, or you've been selling on Amazon for any period of time and you've got 30 campaigns, you've got 300 campaigns like I do, that is absolutely crazy. If you think that each of those campaigns has 10, 15 targets, you're talking about editing weekly 3,000 targets across all your campaigns. And that's just really difficult to do manually, right? So here, let me just show you what I do. And this is the title of our webinar. How in the world does it only take me 30 minutes to manage my campaigns over all of this time? Well, I set up bid rules, all right? Carrie showed you how to do templates, right? I do rules. Let me show you guys how I set that up here. Okay. This is one of my accounts, my master bidding rules. So what I did, and you guys can screenshot this later, those of you who have Helium 10 ads, I add all the campaigns I want to go to a certain rule over here on the right-hand side. And then I have these different criterias going, okay? So first of all, I'm like, hey, if I've got ACoS greater than 200%, I'm like, you know what? Just pause that targeting. Remember how I said I don't negative match? I pause the targets. I'm like, you know what? There's no way I can get 200% ACoS to be profitable even over time. So I'm just like, pause. That's just me. You guys might choose a different number here. And I look back at 60 days. My next thing, everything else, guys, is based on me trying to bring down my ACoS gradually. I don't want to go from like 200% or 150% down to 30%. If I do that, or if I try and change my bid like that, it could turn my impressions to 0. So I like to bring things down gradually. How do I do that? I say here, if my ACoS is greater than 100 or less than 200, then this is a complicated formula here, but basically this means do what it takes to my target or my bid, do what it takes to my bid to get me down to 60% ACoS. So that's not my goal. My goal is like 25% ACoS on this account. But do you guys understand what I'm saying? 100 to 200%. Don't bring me all the way down to 25 at once. That might kill my impressions. Bring me down to 60. So it's going to take time to do that. All right. Because what happens when I get down to 60? Well, one of my other rules is going to pick it up. Watch this one. If my ACoS is greater than 75 and less than 100, do what it takes to bring me down to 45% ACoS. If my ACoS is between 50 and 75, so like that would be 60. Remember my other rule was bringing me down to 60. Guess what? Once it gets down to 60, this rule picks it up and it takes the baton. Think of a relay race, right? And then it says, you know what? Bring me down to 35% ACoS from here. If I'm between 40 and 50, bring me down to 30% ACoS. If I'm between 30 and 40, now bring me down to my target ACoS of 25. But here's the thing. If you're under 25, right, you might be leaving money on the table. So here I say, you know what? If I'm between 19 and 23% ACoS, do what it takes to bring my bid up. You know, you guys might be like, why would you want to bring your bid up? Well, I want to, maximize my sales. So here I'm saying, bring my bid up to 24% ACoS. Hey, what if I'm between 15 and 19? Bring me up to 20. If I'm between 10 and 15, bring me up to 18, and so on and so forth, all the way down to 0, pretty much. However, I have another rule here where I'm like, you know what? If my clicks are greater than 24, but I get no sales, pause the targeting. Don't negative match, pause the target. All right. Here's another thing I have. This is an interesting one. I've only been doing this rule for like 3 months because we just added this. I'm like, you know what? What happens if I pause the target, but then 3 days later, I actually got a sale from it? Well, I might have prematurely paused it. So what I do, I'm like, you know what? If I have one order and the ACoS is like less than 100% or whatever, enable the targeting if I had paused it. All right. So this is my whole rule group where now what do I do over time? Well, remember those rules I talked about negative matching? Here's where those rules come up right here. Take a look. Look at this keyword, grooved learning. Okay. I had $45 of spend and 0 clicks, zero sales, 34 clicks. It's saying I should pause this. So I'm going to say yes. And if I just hit this apply, guess what? It goes directly to that campaign and pause the target. I'm never going to be shown, or not pause the target, I'm sorry, negative match the target. I'm never going to be shown for that keyword ever again in that campaign. That would have taken 3 minutes to do in Seller Central. It took me 3 seconds to do here in Helium 10. Here's an ASIN I was getting targets, or I was getting clicks for. Not terrible, $9, but I got 28 clicks. All right. I'm like, you know what? No, never show me for that one again. Do you guys remember my keyword harvesting rules? All right, this here, guys, is the culmination of everything we've been talking about here. Remember how I said, hey, if I get 2 orders in an auto campaign or a broad campaign, go put it to another one. Like here's a random keyword I never would have targeted myself. Learning resources. Like what kind of keyword is that? But I spent $30 and I got $120 worth of sales. Do I want to keep going on that? You better believe it. So do I need to go find this campaign and then copy this ASIN and go find my performance campaign, find my broad campaign and try and put it in? No, I just hit this button and it's done. I just added that keyword to 2 of my campaigns in seconds. Here's a keyword. I got 25 cents of spend, guys. Helium 10 found me and I got $155 worth of sales on 25 cents. Do you think I want to be shown for this keyword all day long? You better believe it. That's crazy ACoS, 0.16 ACoS. Do I need to find these campaigns, my broad campaign? Do I need to find my keyword targeting campaign? No, I just hit this button once and it's done. Now I think you guys can see why it only takes me 30 minutes to do my advertising. Remember all those bids rules I just put where it's like telling me to raise or increase? Look at this one right here, guys. Here's a keyword where I'm at 38% ACoS, so it's pretty good. My cost per click is already lower. It's telling me I need to lower this by 4 cents to get closer to my goal. Here's another one where I'm actually doing pretty good. It's saying I need to raise by 4 cents. I just hit that button and I'm done. I could just hit all these buttons if I want to. Once a week, all I have to do is go through these. Look at this one. Meal planner. I spent $50 and my ACoS is over 100%. It's telling me that I need to either pause it or raise it because I lowered it too much. Look, my cost per click was 46 cents. So I just hit that button and it's done. Guys, this is how easy it is to manage your bids. Hold on. To manage your bids. This is how easy it is to manage your bids with your advertising, all right, using Helium 10 ads. So that's why, even though like this account spends $20,000 a month on advertising, and in this account alone, I've got 175 campaigns, it takes me so fast because I'm just doing all of these with my rules. All right, what else was I going to talk about today? We talked about my rules. We talked about pausing and enabling AI and automation. Who should be using AI advertising? I don't use AI advertising. I feel you should be spending upwards of like 30, 40 grand a month on advertising for AI, to you to really need AI, where it's like, you know what, you don't have the time anymore to manage it manually. AI is for those who have like these gargantuan campaigns. That's where AI works best for. Like, you've got daily budgets of $1,000 a month, or $1,000 a month, $1,000 a day. Like, this guy, AI is going to do wonders. So I don't recommend doing AI if you're like a newer seller or have smaller campaigns. Even in Helium 10, AI is for larger sellers who really need that time savings, and it has a lot. It performs better also because it has a lot more data points. So Helium 10 and ads has AI, so that's who should be using AI. Now, one cool thing that's coming, guys, is keyword tracker based rules. I've been working on this with a team for a while. A lot of you guys base your keyword bids on where you're showing up in the search results, and rightfully so. So you guys look in your keyword tracker and you're like, hey, am I ranked in the top 4? I'm not. Oh, I need to increase my bid. Or maybe I'm ranked in the top 1, and you know what? I'm okay with being ranked 4. What happens when I lower my bid a little bit? Can I still stay in the top 4? And so what you guys are doing probably is you have your keyword tracker open in one window, you're advertising another, and you're just comparing the two and then doing your bids based on that. Anybody do that here? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure some of you guys, especially when you're launching, you're doing that. But here's the thing. That takes a lot of time, right? So something that's coming soon, really soon, to Helium 10 ads, guys, is you can now set those rules and say, you know what? If my sponsored rank is below 10, increase my bid by 5%. If my sponsored rank is 1 and 2, decrease my bid by 3% and see what happens. And so you're going to be able to automate your keyword tracking. How cool is that, guys? That's going to be awesome. A huge time-saving things. Only people with Helium 10 ads can do that. But if you don't have Helium 10 ads, can you still base your bidding on keyword tracker? Of course. You don't need Helium 10 ads for that. It's going to be really tedious because you just have to keep your keyword tracker on, turn boost on, and then go into Seller Central and just adjust your bids manually. So you can absolutely do what I just said, but you just can't automate it. So that's going to be pretty cool. I said those who stayed to the end, I'm going to give you guys a special deal. You guys know I'm not a salesman. I'm an actual Amazon advertiser like you, but I'm going to put my salesman hat on, and I'm going to give you a special deal for those of you who stayed here until the end. All right. So what are those strategies? Have you heard of Helium 10 Elite? You guys have probably heard of Helium 10 Elite before. This is a program that actually, costs $399 a month. All right. So we've got this Elite program, but now for this deal, you can get a lot of what used to cost $399 free with our Diamond plan. All right. So we've got tons of education in the Diamond plan. We have weekly workshops like this. We have monthly workshops. We have AI-powered ads. We've got rule-based ads. We've got historical reverse ASIN search. That's what Carrie was showing before. We've got listing builder with AI. We've got a TikTok shop, listing converter. We've got brand analytics history, tons of stuff that none of our other plans has. And so we're going to throw in some bonuses. So number one bonus, you want a one-on-one call with me? You're going to be able to do that if you take us up on this offer. All right. What else do we have bonus? Bonus number 2. By the way, you know what? Carrie's open to that too. So maybe you don't like me because I'm too loud. You can go ahead and have a one-on-one call with Carrie as well. You're going to get 2 months free of that Helium 10 Elite. All right. 2 months free Helium 10 Elite you're going to be able to have. Okay. What else? Bonus number 3. You are going to be able to get my personal China sourcing agent. All right. So the person who gets all of my products, I'm going to connect you with her on WeChat, and all of my prices that I get for everything, you guys are going to get those same prices and discounts and connections to factories that you might never be able to see because they're not even on Alibaba. Bonus number 4, for those of you, anybody who takes us up on this offer today, is we're going to have no extra cost for ads during April. What does that mean? Helium 10 ads is part of the Diamond plan, but we bill you based on your spend, right? So in other words, if you spend $1,000 a month on advertising, we're taking like $20. That's the cost, because it's like 2% or something like that. I don't know what it is, 20, $25, right? But if it's $10,000, it's obviously a little bit more expensive. But for April, starting tomorrow, if you start your first rule tomorrow and you upgrade to the Diamond account, it takes 24 hours to start anyways. It's going to be free for you. No extra cost at all to use ads. So it's like a free trial to ads almost for that. All right. So that's only for the people on this webinar. So how much is it? Is it the $199 for the Diamond plan plus the $399? Nope. It's only $359 a month for this Diamond plan, which is like what, $11 a month. But this is a special. I told you guys I'd hook you up, those of you who stayed to the end. So you guys can take 30% off that, the monthly one, SSP 30. No commitments. You're not locked in or anything. So basically it's only, instead of $359, it's $251 a month for up to 6 months. Again, up to 6 months. You're not locked in for 6 months, guys. All right. So, but if you're like, you know what, Bradley, this was the most amazing thing I ever saw, and I just want to do an annual plan. Can I save more money? All right. So normally if you were to just do it for a year, yeah, it's like $4,000, but I'm going to take $2,000 off for anybody who wants to do the annual plan. So instead of $4,300, it's only going to be $2,176, and you get all of those other bonuses. So that only comes out to $181 a month. That's $5, $6 a day. So to take advantage of either the monthly or the annual deal, guys, h10.me/April tacos. Tacos because today is Tacos Tuesday and we're in April. All right. So to do that, just take this QR code, scan this QR code now and bookmark it on your phone just so you can go back later and do it. Or go to h10.me/April tacos. So basically, guys, there's two deals here. All right. There is the deal for a monthly deal, which is still a pretty good discount, 30% off. It's only going to be like 200 something a month, and then you can cancel anytime. Or you're like, you know what? I'm all about price savings. I'm going to save the whole year. Then I would do the annual one, and you use that SSP 35. And this page will help you get there. Okay, so guys, this is a crazy deal. I can't guarantee. And this deal of the free advertising only starts tomorrow through the end of the month. After that, it goes to the regular price, which is still pretty dang good. Like I said, it's only like 2% of your advertising spend. But I'm sure you guys would agree with me that it is worth it. Let me just show you. Remember I showed you how I was doing an account, this Graceful by Design account. It's a real live product on Amazon. Let me show you the results. They weren't doing ads before. I want to show you what has happened since I've been managing that account since the beginning of the year. And this just shows you what can happen over time for those of you who are trying to bring your cost of advertising down. All right. Take a look at this account dashboard. This is from January to February. So 60 days here. Look at the ACoS was 62%. All right. $23,000 of advertising spend and got $37,000 of sales, which is decent, but 62% ACoS. That's crazy. So what did I do? I brought in those rules. Now, did those rules change things overnight? No, absolutely not. But let me just show you how we've been bringing it down over time. Let's just look at March and go March data. Look at that. 14% down already in just 1 month. I went from 68% ACoS in this account to 44%. Is this the goal? 44%? No, that's not the goal. The goal is 25% ACoS. I'm going to reach that probably by next month or the month after, just by implementing those rules and all those things that would be really hard for me to do. So guys, this stuff works. Okay. All right, guys, for you and the rest of you who are signing up, I look forward to hitting you up in the one-on-one calls, or you hitting me up, I should say, and Carrie. And thank you guys for your time, and we'll see you later. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye now.